Hey, stop me if you've heard this one before. Everybody's mad at Bethesda right now. 2023 has served to be one of the absolute best years we've had in gaming since God knows when. Whether you're a fan of JRPGs, FPS games, story-based games, Souls-like games, there was probably something for you. That's just the kind of year that 2023 was. Let's say you're a fan of FPS RPG hybrids, right? Maybe from heavily storied and famous game developers who have spent hundreds of thousands of hours in their crafts and have rose to acclaim to be one of the absolute titans of the industry. Yeah? Is a name coming to mind? That's right, CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077, The Phantom Liberty. Now, a lot of people are going after Bethesda right now, and honestly, for a time being, I sort of empathized with them that maybe some of the attacks were a little bit too bad faith. Mind you, some of the perspectives we were seeing came off a little bit more like fanboy rage than actual genuine criticism of a game that maybe could have used a little bit more time in the oven, a little bit more feedback that was constructive rather than deconstructive. Starfield has been just an absolutely insane experience for Bethesda, and there have been many plot points within the history of this game being released that's sort of a tribute to the negative sentiment that we're seeing towards it now. Granted, it wasn't a game that had a whole lot of love on release, don't get me wrong, but it definitely has seemed to hit a headway with some recent comments that Bethesda customer support has made directed towards the community itself. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but I just, for the giggles of it, I definitely want to go through this one more time. This is a Steam review that has 56 hours on it. Boring and overrated. There's a wide universe to explore filled mostly with empty planets. I understand they have to do that to sell you on the idea that this is a whole universe. That doesn't make the game more fun. You can land on any planet and explore the copy-pasted locations. You'll see the exact same locations from one end of the universe to the other and everywhere in between. A hodgepodge of messy, slapped-together mechanics, bloated skill trees, exploring, crafting, base building, an RPG, an FPS, a space opera. Starfield doesn't know what it wants to be. As wide as an ocean and as deep as a puddle, you can explore everywhere, but why would you want to? And ever so gracefully, Bethesda responds, "Greetings. Thank you for taking the time to leave a review for Starfield. We are sorry that you did not like landing on different planets and are finding many of them empty." Bethesda, there was a couple other words that they mentioned involving skill trees and crafting systems, but sure, let's focus on that one point. Some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design, but that's not boring. When the astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. They certainly weren't bored. Okay, now we've all had fun with that, right? We've all definitely made our our memes, and we've poked fun at Bethesda for this sort of ridiculous sentiment. It doesn't just stop there. This is one of the most upvoted posts from Deleted on the Starfield subreddit. Before I say anything, I actually really enjoy the game. I hate that we have to sort of preamble these things when we're actually speaking about stuff that we have criticism with. I think it's important because of rampant fanboyism to sort of delineate the fact that we enjoy the things we enjoy before we criticize them. The thread states, "People should stop saying mods will fix it. I wish they spent another year or two refining this game." And the first sentence that I feel really does a positive sentiment towards how people are interacting with Starfield and the sort of criticisms being levied at it is, if you like the game as it is right now, that is absolutely okay and honestly understandable. I put in maybe about 90 hours into Starfield, and I had a great time. I really enjoy Starfield. I think it has some fun story quirks. I enjoyed some of the beats. I enjoy an awful lot of Starfield in totality. I love the gunplay. I love the loot mechanics. I love leveling up gun crafting so I can get better and cooler weapons. I had a good time with it. Now, because I had a good time with it doesn't mean that it's immune to criticism. Anything that's even perfect could have some room for criticism. And unfortunately for Starfield, I would say it is definitely leaning closer in the not perfect. The post continues. "That being said, however, it's very clear that Bethesda recognizes the modders in this community, and it's clear that they're relying on their free labor to add in a lot of needed features." Bethesda's always been famous for supporting the modding community, allowing people to customize their game experience from A to Z in any way that they saw fit, whether it be nude billboards all the way to brand new character models, anything in between. That's all people are making. It's just nude models everywhere. The post continues, I understand Bethesda has been doing this for a while, but it's just a shame that they're doing this again. They've always relied on modders to be able to come in and fix these games to a state that feels a little bit more modern or a little bit more enjoyable for the average layman player to actually engage with. Unfortunately, I feel like this time they've hit a snag. I feel like modders overall have a growing sentiment that they just don't enjoy Starfield enough to actually want to fix this game for free. The creators of Skyrim Together, a popular mod for Skyrim, imagine, posted a statement on their official Discord stating, let's talk about Starfield. When the game released, I was hyped, like a lot of people, but probably for different reasons. I spent launch day and a few days after reverse engineering the game and porting over gameplay hooks from Skyrim Together to a potential Starfield Together mod. I ported about 70% of Skyrim Together reversed code to Starfield Together. There's just one problem. This game is fucking trash. I didn't realize this until after I actually started playing the damn game a week after launch. The game is boring, bland, and the main draw of Bethesda games, exploration in a lively and handcrafted world, was completely gone. Anyways, everyone already knows this. Most people agree. There's no need for further repeat the point. Just read any of the dozens of reviews online. That said, I won't be continuing development on Starfield Together. I'm not going to put my heart and soul into a mod for a game as mediocre as this. Now, a lot of this stuff is old sentiment. This is old stuff that has been said in the last couple of weeks, the past month, past 2 months. Why are we bringing this up now? Seemingly as a show of protest, Bethesda fans have unified on these Steam reviews and have dropped the recent reviews, which, mind you, I'm not going to lie to you, recent reviews are reviews of the past 30 days, which is still relevant. 30 days is a pretty big window when your game's only been out for like 3 months, which is definitely something that's probably got to have Bethesda a little bit nervous. As of this recording, Starfield sits at 29% positive reviews in the past 30 days, with its overall review being 64% over 88,000 reviews since its game's launch. Now, I have some interest in actually deep diving the sort of Bethesda effect, we'll call it, that has transpired since the game company itself was founded. Bethesda didn't just release Fallout 76, have a lot of people pissed off about that, and then release Starfield, and this is what we get. I feel as though Bethesda's overall negative impression goes quite a ways back, and is actually a pretty interesting and storied tale. If you'd like to see me talk about why Bethesda is hated in totality, going back to the very beginning inception of them as a company, leave a comment below, let me know. Coming back to the point, Starfield was a game that needed to be a juggernaut. It couldn't have just been good. It couldn't have just been fine. It needed to be a return to form for Bethesda in order for fans of them as a company to come back to the fray and be willing to engage on them in good faith. I think deep down, everybody wanted Starfield to be a good game. Prior to its release, I was really excited to get back into a major, full-scale Bethesda game, with my last game being Fallout 4. Now, say what you will about Fallout 4, I had a lot of fun with it. I still felt as though there was a lot of concessions that were being made with the Fallout formula that were ultimately fleshed out in Fallout 76 to lead me to believe maybe I don't actually like it when Bethesda's in control of this franchise. In skipping Fallout 76 and being so excited for Starfield, it really does bum me out that ultimately I agree with the mob mentality. This is a game that needs help. This is a game that needs patches. Bethesda has gone out of their way and released DLSS patches, simple bug fixes, but we have seen no meaningful enhancement, no meaningful changes to the base game in of itself, which leads me to believe that what we're pending right now is the release of a paid DLC that deluxe users have already paid for, and potentially a bug fix patch here and there. I'm trying my best to imagine a world where Bethesda could understand that them needing to release content patches, release new features, release new mechanics, these patches are so necessary before the release of something that they're going to charge people to get their hands on, especially if this DLC serves to be a feature-enhancing content drop, which would leave general users who purchase the base game completely out of luck. What Bethesda needs to do is release steady content and feature-rich patches. Bethesda resorting to making more money off of the fact that they have released a game that is fundamentally unready to be released is just insulting to the fact that anyone actually paid money for this game. I paid money for this game, and as far as I'm concerned, there are just some fundamental features, some fundamental design choices that I just can't help but wondering, why is this here? Mark my words, this is not the last that we're going to see of this controversy revolving around Starfield. I genuinely do believe we're going to be seeing that DLC first before we see any meaningful additions made to the gameplay loop. A lot of Starfield defenders would already tell you that the game already is feature-rich. It's just that there's some gameplay mechanics that maybe you don't gel with. I disagree. The fact that you can land on any given one of these thousands of planets and they actually have zero content on them, especially ways to meaningfully get from A to B on said repeated content, is just absurd. Granted, this isn't a review. I'm not going to sit here and review Starfield for you, but it's an unbelievably frustrating situation. I suppose coming from somebody who actually enjoyed the game and wanted it to be even better than it ultimately was, this was a game I could see myself treating the way that everybody else treated Skyrim. I didn't like Skyrim. Yeah, I know, burn me at the I didn't like Skyrim. I was hoping to treat Starfield the way that everybody got to treat Skyrim, but ultimately, it's just not even a similar caliber of game. The game is stretched so incredibly flat that it just surprises me absolutely none that people aren't happy, especially when they're coming in and seeing that the game is at a discounted price. You're having new people come in and realize that this game is just not something worth spending any more time than they're already spending putting the $50 into. At the end of the day, I understand where the mob mentality comes from. I think it's an interesting psychological thing where people get more angry based on the fact that the peers around them are angry as well. Ultimately, I understand where the rage comes from, and I just hope that Bethesda is able to pick up the pieces somehow, because as it stands right now, I don't actually know what Bethesda is going to be able to do. A lot of people are already pointing to the Elder Scrolls 6 saying, if they mess this up, I don't know what they're going to be able to do. And I think they get that now. I think they actually understand that their last attempt to make a good impression on the overall gaming community is the Elder Scrolls 6. I genuinely believe the release of Fallout 76 provided enough plausible deniability that that was just a B game. It was a game made by a different studio. That wasn't Bethesda in Washington. That was Bethesda in Texas. It's a different company. Absolutely, this next game, Starfield, is going to be the next Bethesda game. So for it to flop the way that it has, you have to think they know this is their last chance. It's this or nothing. And what remains to be seen is what's going to happen to Bethesda if this game flops the way that I worry it could potentially. I don't know if they have the right design pipeline. I don't know if they have the right managerial leadership. I don't know if the pieces are in place for them to successfully make a follow-up to a game that is effectively the de facto video game to most people that are not involved in the games industry. If you don't know video games, you probably know Skyrim. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. Consider dropping a like below. What do you think about Starfield? What do you think about the negative hate mob coming towards it on Steam? Do you think it's justified? Do you think that Steam mob mentality is a great way to get across to developers that things aren't working the way that they should? Guys, if you're watching this on New Year's, I hope you have a fantastic New Year, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stay golden.